Welcome back to Elizabeth Eats. Today we are making lemony red lentil soup. This recipe takes regular lentil soup to the next level. I love it because it's inexpensive, it's full of protein, fiber, good nutrition, and it makes a lot of soup with just a few ingredients. So if you were here with me last week, we made shakshuka. If you missed that episode, we'll pop it here on the screen somewhere and we'll link to it below. Make sure you catch that. I wanted to take similar ingredients to what I used last week, even the half the onion, I've got some lemon left over, and turn it into a whole new dish. We're gonna start with our carrots and onions, chop these up, and there's some tricks with the tomato to get it in the soup just right. And if you like these videos, please like this video and subscribe to the channel. It is the best way to support the show. So I'll start with 2 carrots, and I have washed them. I'm not going to peel them. Most of the nutrition in almost all of your fruits and vegetables is right under the peel. Instead of just a slice, I'm gonna dice them up pretty small because our red lentils are small and I want them to kind of go into the background of the soup. I'm cutting them to about thirds just to make them more manageable and then slicing them in half. Lay them down flat. Lentil soup is a great make-ahead meal or a way to feed a lot of people very quickly. And then just dice these up. Make them all about the same size so they cook evenly. Lentil soup is very easy. The only thing about this is just prepping the ingredients. Everything goes into the pot and simmers. The one trick with the tomatoes is you want to cook the tomatoes properly in the oil so the oil turns a little red. That way you know you're really cooking the tomatoes through the oil and it actually ends up a better flavor in your soup. All right, there's my carrot. Now I have a half an onion left over from my shakshuka. I'm using a yellow onion. You could use a white onion, and a red onion would actually be good too. The color of your soup will be a little different if you use a red onion, but use what you have. When you're chopping your veggies, just get them all about the same size. It doesn't have to be perfect. Got our veggies chopped. And now for the tomatoes. You can use 2 whole Roma tomatoes or larger tomatoes for this. Look how beautiful these are. These little grape tomatoes in different colors. These are like little heirloom tomatoes. They were a really good price at my store because it's kind of the end of the season for these. So I've got a pint and I'm just gonna quarter these so that when they go into the oil, they start cooking into the oil right away. Beautiful. I gave them a rinse. Any big ones like this, I'm gonna cut more into like 6 pieces probably. This soup is absolutely wonderful. It's actually vegan as well. So it's vegetarian. It can go all the way vegan if you choose to dry toast the cumin seeds at the end, and depending on what kind of stock you use. So I have some homemade chicken stock that I have that adds incredible flavor. You could use veggie stock. You can also just use water. So lentil soup is a really flexible recipe. So I'll also slice 2 cloves of garlic. If your garlic is this big, you just need 1. You can also grate it on a microplane grater if you want. If you grate it or press it, garlic burns super fast. Just give it a couple of seconds in the pot before you add the water and stock. Slice it. I'm gonna get the carrots and the onions and the tomatoes going, and I'll show you what I want it to look like in the oil. Then we'll add our garlic and some spices, and I'll show you all the tricks along the way to make the best lentil soup you've ever had. I'm using a Dutch oven here. You can use any large pot that you want. We're gonna start it over medium-high heat. All right, 2 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil. So we'll preheat that over medium-high heat, let that get a little warm, and add our carrots, onions, and tomatoes. Any of the juices of the tomatoes, get those too. Always add a little bit of salt to your sauteed onions and any veggies that you're starting with. The salt will help draw some of the moisture out of the onions and will help them cook faster and help them actually taste great. A little bit of black pepper. We'll let this cook for about 5 to 7 minutes until the onions become a little translucent. So you'll know when this is ready to continue on, when the oil has taken on a little bit of the color of the tomatoes. That helps infuse that wonderful flavor throughout the entire dish. So I'm going to give it a few more minutes and that oil will have turned even more red. All right, the oil has really taken on the color of the tomatoes, so I'm gonna add the garlic. And the garlic just needs about, 30 to 60 seconds to start to cook before I add everything else. And I'm also going to add 1.5 teaspoons of ground cumin seed. So we're using cumin twice here. We're using ground cumin in the soup, and we're gonna finish the top with toasted whole cumin seeds. This is a 1/2 teaspoon that I'm holding, so I'm gonna do 3 of those. Give this a good stir. Let that garlic start to cook. That just helps develop the flavor of the garlic and it changes the end of the soup. So the order in which you put your ingredients in really changes the end product of whatever you're cooking. Let that cook just a little bit and we'll move on to our lentils. So I'm using red lentils here. Let me show you what these look like. This soup can cook start to finish in about 40 minutes. You don't need to puree this because they really cook down. They're really high in vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, fiber. Lentils are fantastic. So now that this is ready and smells absolutely incredible. So I'm gonna do 1.5 cups of lentils. This is gonna feed 8 to 10 pretty big servings. We do 1/2 cup more. It's flexible, about 1.5 cups. Just give that a quick stir. And now we're going to add the liquid. We need 6 cups of liquid. I'm gonna use a combination of water and stock. So I have some homemade chicken stock here. I'm actually gonna use 2 cups of this because I need 2 cups for another recipe later this week. This is 4 cups. So I'm going to use 2 cups of chicken stock, 4 cups of water. I'm gonna use my pot filler here. There's my 6 cups of liquid, and the amount of salt that you'll add depends on how much salt was in any of your liquid. So I used water. My chicken stock doesn't have any salt in it, so I'm going to add 1.5 teaspoons of salt. It's 1.5 teaspoons. And then a couple spoons of freshly ground black pepper. I'm going to bring this to a boil and then reduce it to a simmer, cover it so all of my liquid doesn't evaporate, and we're gonna have an awesome lentil soup in about 30 minutes. So once this comes up to a bubble, I'll reduce it and then put the lid on. So this is Lemony red lentil soup. The lemon makes it absolutely fantastic. I like to put my lemon juice in at the end, but if you want to put some lemon in now, you can totally do that. All right, our soup has been simmering for about 30 to 40 minutes. I kind of lost track, but both works. It looks absolutely beautiful. You know when it's done when a lot of the liquid has been absorbed. There'll be a little bit of liquid still in there, which is good because this will continue to thicken up as it sits. So I'm going to push this one back and toast some cumin seeds to add to the top. I'm going to start them off dry toasted, and then I'm gonna add some ghee that actually kind of fries them at the end, and it's so good on top of the soup. So I have whole cumin seeds here. You can get these at any store online. Let this preheat. I would say a medium heat. You don't wanna go too high on this because you can burn them. They just need to dry toast. If you dry toast about 30 to 60 seconds, they will be very fragrant. You'll know when they're done. I'm gonna do 2 teaspoons. So there's our 2 teaspoons, and I'm gonna add my ghee. 2 teaspoons. Just let that cook a few minutes. You can see how they've turned this really pretty brown. I'm gonna turn my gas back on to low. I'm just gonna let this sizzle for about 20 to 30 seconds. All right, let's take this back over and get it all plated up. All right, this soup looks absolutely incredible. It smells heavenly in here. I'm gonna chop some cilantro. I think cilantro is fantastic in the soup. And then this is the leftover lemon that I had. You wanna add the juice of a whole lemon here. And again, I like to add my lemon juice after. Stir that in, smells so good. And see how the red lentils really broke down? You don't need to. If you want to puree this, you could grab an immersion blender and puree this if you want to, but I think the texture of it as is absolutely fantastic. So the way I would do this is a big scoop right in the middle. Smells good. Then do some cilantro, chop some up real quick. Depending on how they like it. I put some cilantro on it, makes it look pretty, and it also tastes good. I like it, I know some people don't. And then some of these beautifully toasted cumin seeds, just sprinkled right on top. They have a strong flavor, so you don't need a lot of them. Just maybe, I don't know, 1/2 teaspoon per person. Look at that. It is so beautiful. It is just this big pot of delicious food. This is what we have this week. I'm gonna taste it. It smells amazing. This is something that tastes like it came from a very high-end restaurant. This is something you would pay a lot for, but you can make it at home. It tastes so incredible. I really encourage you to make this. If you like this episode, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. That is the best thing to help the show and help us make more episodes. And I hope you come back next week for another episode. I'll see you soon.